We're going to talk about changing jobs today. Maybe you've changed jobs recently, or you may know someone who has changed jobs. The reports tell us that successful people change jobs every 3 to 5 years in the United States, where I'm located. And on average, it's every 4.2 years. So if you think about a career for a successful individual that might last 30, 35, 40 years, you potentially could change jobs 9, 10, 11 times, which seems crazy on the surface, when you think about it. But it's actually very reasonable with what we see in the world today. So, what about changing jobs is connected to saving for retirement or your retirement plan? And so today we want to talk about the 3 reasons why you should never, yes, I said never, leave your money behind. You should never leave your money in an employer-sponsored plan. So what does that mean? Okay, first off, you may have had an opportunity to participate in the company's 401k plan. They may have matched your contribution. They may have even put a contribution in without you being required to contribute on your own. But that is considered an employer-sponsored retirement plan. And so when you leave your employer, most often they will let you leave your money in the plan. Now there are some unique circumstances for different plans. One might be that they may require a $5,000 balance or more, and if you have less than that, they may just automatically cut you a check. But for the most part, and for the most of us, we would be able to leave our money in the retirement plan of our previous employer. Now, there's another option. Your new employer may offer a 401k. If you're in a nonprofit industry, it might be a 403b. Those are similar plans, but one's for profit, companies for profit, the other's for companies that are not for profit. So you may be offered an opportunity at your new job, and that plan may actually allow you to move your old employer's 401k plan money into your new employer's 401k plan. And you might think that is amazing. Let's do that. The biggest reason I caution you about that is, or I should say the biggest 3 reasons are going to be the same 3 reasons we're going to talk about why you don't want to leave it at your former employer. Let's get into that, and then I think you'll make the connection. All right, so retirement really has become a bit of an afterthought for Americans. Most Americans only have $65,000 saved for retirement, and 25% of all of us, 0, have absolutely nothing saved for retirement. 75% of those who have money saved, again, have recently changed jobs. So if we're changing jobs on average every 4.2 years, then you might have some money left behind. So why? Why would you not leave it behind? The first one we're going to talk about is liquidity. Liquidity can be easily defined as access to your money, right? Can you get it if you need it? And so in a case where you have left your money at your former employer, there are some plans allow for a loan provision, which means you can borrow 50% or half of your plan assets with whichever's less while you're working. So you can borrow against your plan. In some plans, you can borrow your money. But here's the problem. You don't work there any longer. So that option's no longer on the table for you. So you might say, well, Jonda, why are we even talking about liquidity and being able to, access this money that we've set aside for retirement? And the fact is this, You are right. You are right. This is a retirement account and it's for later. But guess what? Life happens. And if you have mouths to feed, if you have a mortgage to pay, you are going to do whatever you have to do to take care of those financial responsibilities. And that may include taking some money out of a retirement plan. So there is a much better way with plenty of options, plenty of flexibility. You can leave it, you can access it, you can borrow it short term and put it back. So we would want to talk to you about that before you made your final decision. So that's liquidity. There is a better way. Hey, before we leave liquidity, I need to talk about one more thing that you may not know about. You might have heard about it recently, actually just this week, had a client asking me about the 20% that their company is going to keep. Well, there is a 20% mandatory withholding if you actually tell your employer, hey, I don't want to leave it, I don't want to send it somewhere else, I just want you to send it to me. And when you do that, there is a requirement, a government requirement. It's a rule, it's a law. There's no way around it, where your employer will actually have to retain 20% of whatever you request. And that money is then sent to the IRS as a credit toward the taxes and possibly penalty that you'll owe when you file your next tax return. So think about this for a minute. If you request $50,000 from your employer, again, you're saying, I don't want to leave it there and I don't want to send it to another plan. I just want you to send me my $50,000. You're actually going to receive $40,000. But the eye-opener is when that tax bill comes next year, you're going to pay tax on $50,000. So just keep that in mind. There is a better way. All right, moving on to the second reason why you absolutely do not want to leave your money behind in a former employer's qualified plan. So a TD Ameritrade survey found that just 27% of investors knew how much they pay in 401k fees. So let me stop for a second. If you're one of the others that think your 401k plan is free, I'm very sorry to let you know you're wrong, okay? Fees do vary from one plan to another, but just hear this and hear it loud and clear. There are no free lunches, okay? Nobody works for free, all right? They may tell you it's free. They're either lying or they just don't know their products, okay? So we'll be nice today and say they don't know their products. But the fact is there are no free lunches, okay? And for those of you right now who are screaming at your phone screen or your computer screen saying, I have a no-load mutual fund. Okay, well, so what? It's not free. And I'm happy to show you where the fees are, if that's something you want to explore later. So just know your 401k has tons of fees in it, okay? And only 27% of you even know that you're paying a fee. So although, let me be clear, they're not hiding them from you. They are difficult to find, but they're not hiding, okay? They give you a booklet. They may send it digitally, but they give you this information when you sign up for the plan and you don't read it. It's okay, no one does. I mean, it doesn't really make it right. I'm just letting you know that you're normal, okay? So just because you didn't read it and just because you don't know it's there doesn't mean it's not there. It is. And so on average, let's talk about what the fees are first, and then we'll talk about how much they run. So there really are 4 parts, believe it or not, like 4 layers of fees in these qualified plans. And they consist of what's called administrative, custodial. Some of these words might be new to you. So administrative, custodial, individual service, and then investment fees. So what you have, you might be thinking, okay, so I'm paying some fees for the mutual funds in my 401k. Yes, you are. Absolutely. Those would be the investment fees. You're paying someone else another fee, a service fee. So whoever you're calling and asking for that $50,000 withdrawal that they're going to keep 10,000 of, whoever you're talking to, that company, then you're paying them a service fee for providing service for your plan. A custodial fee, your assets, those mutual funds that you own, those shares of mutual funds that you own, they must be held somewhere. They're not, they're real, they're not imaginary, even if they're in digital form, which most shares are now in digital form. It doesn't matter. They are held at a custodian, okay? And so you're paying a custody fee for your assets. And then we mentioned administrative. So you're calling someone and asking for a withdrawal, they're sending you some paperwork, and then there's another entity that's processing that paperwork and sending you a check, and that's administrative. So that's crazy. I know that's crazy. You got one plan and you're paying 4 different people for this plan. You really didn't agree to it. You did. You kind of did, when you signed up. But in your mind, you're like, I didn't agree to this. And so cost can get out of hand really quickly. Now, in the recent past, employer-sponsored plans have come under scrutiny. In fact, there have been some class action lawsuits of employees that got together and just rose up and said, no more. This is ridiculous. You're making 5%, I'm making nothing. And so because of that, these employer-sponsored plans came under some pretty heavy scrutiny, and as a result, fees came down. Now, don't get too excited. In my professional opinion, they're still way too expensive, but they're lower than they used to be, so we'll give them some credit there. All right, so let's talk about what these look like. So again, the first 3, so let me make sure you understand this. I apologize, I need to slow down. I have done this for 35 years, and so I kind of make assumptions, and then I'll make a statement and you'll be like, what? I don't understand that. So let's just rewind for a second, and let me make sure you understand that some of these fees are somewhat controllable. We mentioned they come under scrutiny, and those fees came down. The investment fees, the last of the 4 we talked about, there's really no limit, okay? There's really no limit on what a money manager can factor in as his fee within that mutual fund. So just know that one's a little out of your control. The other 3 regulations, laws, etc., can put some pressure on them, and those can come down. So when we combine those first 3, administrative, custodial, and individual service, the first 3 fees combined currently average 1 to 2% every year, and that varies based upon the size of the company that you work for. So just think about this for a quick second. I'm sure you can appreciate that if a custodian has $20 million that they're managing for your company, you might get a discount, right? Quantity discount. If your company has $1 million in their plan, the custodian is probably going to charge more. So here, let's say this a different way. When you look at a company, if you work for a company with less than $10 million, so 10 million, not the company assets, the plan assets. So if the company plan assets are $10 million or less, then that is considered a small plan. And you are going to be looking at the higher end of that 1 to 2%. So we're going to say 2%. All right. Now, what if you're in a plan with a small company, or it could be a large company and you just don't have a lot of participation. So if you've got less than 10 million in plan assets, you're going to be on the higher end of 2%. Now, what if you chose a growth fund, which, come on now, it's a 401k. You want to grow your assets, and if you're in your 20s or 30s, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say you probably chose a growth fund. And the reason I point that out is a growth fund, the investment fees within a growth fund are higher. Why is that? There's multiple reasons for that, but there's a lot of trading cost because they're looking for opportunities and they're capturing them and they're cutting their losses and they're moving forward. So it's an actively managed fund and there are trading costs involved in that. If you chose an international growth fund, now there's additional fees. You have exchange rates and you certainly have more risk with international political issues and economical issues. And so the cost, the investment cost in a growth fund is going to be much higher than it would be in a government securities fund, as an example. So if you're in a growth fund and the internal expenses of that growth fund, the investment cost of that growth fund is 2%, and again, you're in a plan, a company-sponsored plan, whose total assets in the plan are $10 million or less. So now those other three fees that we've just talked about are running about 2%. Combined, you're looking at 4% every year in fees. Okay, I'm going to say that differently. I need you to really, really grasp this, okay? If the mutual fund that you pick and you put your money in earns 4% this year, that's not a great year, but hey, 4%'s all right. We'll take 4%. Steady Eddie wins the race, right? It's what do they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint. So we would take 4%. But since your fees are also 4%, they get paid first. So in a year where the investments you've selected earn 4%, you receive 0 because the cost of the fund, the cost of the plan is paid first. That's one way to look at it, and that's not a very pleasant way to look at it. But the next way to look at it is equally true, but feels worse. So in a year, which we have had, where the market does 0, or, seldom does the market actually do 0. It really has a down year, right? Your mutual fund loses money. All right, let's say it wasn't awful. It just lost 4%. The mutual fund lost 4%. Okay, again, you're thinking that's not too bad. We can recover that fairly easily next year. 4% loss, that's doable. That's doable. We're not going to panic. Well, you didn't lose 4%. You lost 8. You lost your investment performance, and you still had to pay your fees. Okay. So I think I've made my point. 401ks are they have somewhat what you would call pros, but there are definitely cons. And once you no longer work for that company, there are much better options for you. I promise. Much better way. All right, let's talk about the third and final reason why you never want to leave your money behind at a former employer, in a former employer's qualified plan. And it's very simple. Limited investment options. Now, there's going to be a few of you watching this video, and you're going to scream at your phone, you're going to scream at your computer, and you're going to say, I have 75 choices in my 401k. All right, well, yay you. But for the rest of us, we don't really have that many options inside of 401k. I'll give you a great example, and it's the largest retirement plan in our country, and it's the government's, the federal government's Thrift Savings Plan, TSP. If you're watching this and you're a federal employee, you just perked up because you probably have a TSP and you're probably participating, and you know that you have 5, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 investment choices. Now, there are, as of 2022, there was 137,892 mutual funds to choose from. Now, that might be too many, but is 5 really a good representation of what's out there? Can you is 5 enough? I'm not really sure 5 is enough. So again, you're looking at limited investment options. Within those investment options, which again are usually mutual funds, you may have a money market. That's still a mutual fund by definition, but little to no risk. You put $1 in, you get $1 out. But ask yourself, is there a way to get guaranteed income? Okay, again, this is a retirement fund. This is a retirement account. You're saving in this account for future income when you retire. So ask yourself, is there a way, is there an investment choice in the plan of the company that you just left? Is there a choice or an option of creating income, a stream of income, a monthly check? Now, I'm going to tell you, no, there is no option within a company-sponsored, employer-sponsored qualified plan to give you guaranteed income for life. And if anyone, and I do mean if anyone tells you there is, they're lying. Okay, I know that's strong, that's a bold statement, but it's a true statement. Okay, so when you go to retire, you absolutely 100% have to convert to a stream of income if you are expecting that asset to supplement your other retirement income, such as Social Security and maybe a pension. So as a quick recap, the 3 main reasons why you should never leave your money in an employer-sponsored plan: liquidity, being able to get access to your money if you need it; cost, unbelievably high; and limited investment options. Just understand, you have a better way to save for retirement other than leaving your money in an employer-sponsored plan where you no longer work. So if you'd like to know more, if you would like to know what Jonda knows, you need to give us a call. Our office line is 304-840-0706. Check the link below if you want to schedule online. See you in the next video.